Thank you for joining us on this cool yet brisk morning. My name is Raj Gurwal. I'm the Member of Parliament from Brampton East. Welcome to Brampton East if this is your first time here. Today we're welcoming Minister Marc Garneau, Minister Stephen Del Duca, and my colleague, the Member of Parliament from Brampton North, Ruby Sahota. We're really excited about today's announcement. And I'd also like to mention that Minister Garneau is a bit of a homecoming. As you know, he was an astronaut, and a lot of his training was done just down the street at MDA. So we're super excited to have him here in Brampton East. So please join me in giving a very warm Brampton East welcome to Minister Garneau.
Thank you very much, Raj, and good morning, bonjour. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, and most recently the territory of the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation. The territory was the subject of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy and the Ojibwe and allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. This territory is also covered by the Upper Canada Treaties. So, thank you very much, Raj, for that introduction, and it really is a pleasure for me to be back here. I was telling Raj that I got a bit of a lump in my throat as I turned the corner on Williams and saw MDA, which of course used to be called Spar Aerospace, and it is where the Canadarm was designed and developed and built, and as well the Canadarm2 that's on the International Space Station, and of course for me represents an earlier part of my professional career. So I was delighted to find out that the event today, which is an important event, is taking place so close to MDA. I'd also like to thank TrailCon Leasing for having us here today, and of course the Canadian Trucking Alliance for being our hosts. This year, we've been celebrating Canada 150. The year-long anniversary celebration has given us an opportunity to look back at how Canada became the place it is now over 150 years. We've obviously come a long way from the days of delivering the mail or milk or other goods using horsepower that involved actual horses. And advancements in motor vehicle technology have clearly had an impact. One thing that has been constant is that the Government of Canada has been and still is committed to the safety and well-being of all Canadians. I'm committed as Minister of Transport to improving Canadians' safety and well-being on our roads and highways. I know industry stakeholders such as yourself share this goal. For example, for a number of years, the Canadian Trucking Alliance has been pointing to research that shows a universal electronic logging device mandate would have a direct and immediate impact on curbing behaviors strongly linked with higher crash rates, such as driving over prescribed limits of service, which leads to fatigue. Reducing truck crashes would obviously benefit us all, including in both the private and public sectors. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we're taking steps to improve safety for drivers, passengers, and pedestrians and other vulnerable road users. Across the country and around the world, technology continues to change our lives. I'm always interested in how technology can contribute to Canadian safety and well-being. When technology can improve how we implement or enforce regulations or offers new ways to make transportation safer, we will embrace that technology. This is exactly what we've done with electronic stability control systems. At a visit to Transport Canada's Motor Vehicle Test Centre in Blainville, Quebec, I participated in a ride-along during a truck platooning test program about a year ago. The heavy trucks in that test run featured a number of new technologies, including electronic stability control systems and adaptive cruise control, among others. I believe we'll be hearing from somebody with practical hands-on experience today as well. Since 2011, as you know, electronic stability control systems have been mandatory in new cars and light-duty vehicles sold in Canada. This crash avoidance technology improves a driver's control of the vehicle. It helps stabilize a vehicle's forward trajectory and can prevent a vehicle from rolling over. Indeed, if electronic stability control sensors detect a loss of control, the vehicle's braking and engine control systems work to stabilize the vehicle. I'm pleased to announce this crash avoidance technology is now mandatory for most new truck tractors sold in Canada. Les systèmes de contrôle électronique de la stabilité sont maintenant exigés pour la plupart des camions tracteurs neufs vendus au Canada. La nouvelle technologie permettra de rendre nos routes plus sécuritaires et d'éviter que les véhicules ne fassent des tonneaux. By June, electronic stability control will also be mandatory for most school buses and intercity buses sold in Canada, with any remaining vehicles to follow in August 2019. But this is not the only technology I'm here to discuss today. Electronic logging devices are another valuable technological tool that can transform the commercial vehicle industry. These devices are connected to a vehicle's electronic control module. They log when and for how long a commercial vehicle is in use. These electronic logging devices can help commercial drivers and employers comply with existing hours of service regulations and can help reduce the potential for driver fatigue. They also help drivers and employers on the administrative side of their work, and the device's electronic records virtually eliminate the need for time-consuming paper logs. Given the value of these devices, the Government of Canada is proposing to make electronic logging devices mandatory for all drivers of federally regulated commercial trucks and buses operating in Canada who are required to maintain daily paper logs. A 2-year implementation period will allow sufficient time to install and deploy electronic logging devices across the country, although if you can do it quicker than that, that would be even better. Correct installation and use of these devices will be key to ensuring Canadians are as safe and secure as possible on our roads and highways. Nous voulons simplifier la vie des conducteurs de camions et d'autobus sous réglementation fédérale au Canada. Et nous voulons rendre nos routes plus sécuritaires pour tous ceux qui y circulent. En exigeant l'utilisation des dispositifs de consignation électronique, le gouvernement du Canada est en voie d'atteindre ces deux objectifs importants. While developing these new regulations, we consulted with stakeholders, and I'm pleased to say that we have support for both electronic stability control and electronic logging devices. Today, we're joined here by representatives of the Canadian Trucking Alliance, as well as the Private Motor Truck Council of Canada. I want to thank both organizations for their invaluable support of these safety initiatives. That support is both appreciated and important to us. We are always stronger and safer when we collaborate and maintain strong partnerships. We also know there is more work to do. I encourage provinces and territories to take steps to align their regulations to make electronic logging devices mandatory for drivers and motor carriers under their jurisdiction. Both new requirements that we're announcing today will closely align with standards in the United States. When I was named Minister of Transport, the Prime Minister's mandate letter to me said, and I quote, "Canadians require a transportation system that is safe, reliable, and facilitates trade and movements of people and goods." Note that the word safe is at the front end of that list. Our transportation system must support our ambitious economic growth and job creation agenda, and it must be safe. And the trucking industry in this country plays a major role. As I said earlier, I'm committed to improving Canadians' safety and well-being, and I take this responsibility very seriously. As we continue forward into Canada's 151st year, I'm glad to take these two steps forward with you to make our roads and highways safer for everyone. Thank you very much.
Please join me in welcoming one of the hardest working ministers I've ever had the pleasure of knowing, Minister Stephen Del Duca.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so thrilled to be here with all of you for this extremely important announcement. Of course, I want to begin by thanking Raj Grewal for hosting us here in this wonderful community and for being a very, very strong champion for his constituents. And to be here alongside Minister Marc Garneau, someone that I've now had the real privilege of working closely with over the last couple of years, is truly an honor for me. And to see MP Ruby Sahota here as well, it's great to have such a wonderful team representing so many different communities and so many different interests and doing it so well in Ottawa. So I want to thank all three, and in particular Minister Garneau. I have to tell you, my first opportunity to meet the minister shortly after he was appointed to cabinet, I've never actually told him this. This is the first time he's going to hear this. It was a tiny bit. So I was already Ontario's Minister of Transportation, felt like I was doing a decent job. But to meet someone who is such an important Canadian, literally a Canadian icon and a Canadian hero, and to have the chance to work alongside him. You know, every once in a while when I'd say something and I could tell he wouldn't necessarily agree with it, he'd have a look on his face as if to say, listen, Del Duca, I've been to outer space. Okay, seriously. I thought that joke would get more laughter, actually. But we work, I believe, and I know we work very closely together. And when we work closely together, federally, provincially, and ultimately municipally as well, we can achieve such tremendous things for the people that we're proud to represent. And I look out here at the audience today and I see so many different representatives from the trucking industry. I will also say to all of you, in my first opportunity not long after becoming minister here in Ontario, to sit down with representatives from the industry. I see my good friend David Bradley here today, of course, and Stephen and the rest of the team from the OTA, and so many other representatives. And I have to say, in that very first meeting, I said, listen, I don't necessarily know tons about the industry, but I'm always willing to learn. What I need all of you to do is to speak clearly and openly and honestly and never hold back with respect to your opinions. And can I just say, you've never disappointed me, never in any way, shape, or form. And I sincerely appreciate that frankness and the direction and the directness with which you give your opinions, as you should, representing such a critically important industry. My role here today is to say simply to the federal government, to Minister Garneau, thank you so much for being here, specifically in Ontario, specifically here in the GTHA with today's announcement. It is something that the province of Ontario is extraordinarily supportive of. I will say road safety is one of the most important, if not the most important responsibilities that I have as Minister of Transportation for Ontario. And we all know here in this region and literally from one end of the province to the other that our roads and our highways are busy. There is tons of activity taking place. There are goods that are being moved that help support a vibrant economy. There are individuals who are literally just looking to take their kids to a hockey game or to get home from work at the end of a long day. And every single person, whatever kind of vehicle they're operating, simply wants to get home or to get to their destination and to do it in one piece. And anything that we can do, working in collaboration with the industry and amongst levels of government, taking advantage of all of the new technological innovation that exists and will continue to evolve over time. Anything that we can do collectively to make sure that we are supporting and enabling road safety is something we need to embrace, something we need to support, and something that we need to implement and ultimately celebrate. And so full congratulations to Minister Garneau and Transport Canada and the federal government for moving in this direction. I can assure all of you that you will continue to have a strong and valued partner in the Government of Ontario as we move forward with initiatives like this and so many others that I know we're currently embarking upon and will in the future. So again, I want to thank Minister Garneau, I want to thank Raj and Ruby, I want to thank all of the individuals who are here from the trucking industry who make us proud on a daily basis. And I know as we go forward and continue to work closely together, we're going to make sure that those people I referenced a second ago, the people that we're proud to represent, be it in industry or in government, will be able to celebrate with us, and we'll keep pushing road safety at all times. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Thank you, Minister Del Duca. Please join me in welcoming Scott Smith from the Canadian Trucking Alliance.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very excited to be here today and honored to speak on behalf of our industry, to be part of this important announcement that's very important for our industry and for road safety in Canada. Minister Garneau, Minister Del Duca, I'm joined on this stage by some of the key partners within the Canadian Trucking Alliance. Mr. Grant Mitchell, President and CEO of WestCan Group of Companies and Chair of the Alberta Motor Transportation Association. Mr. Gary Arnold, Executive Vice President, Arnold Brothers Transport, and Chair of the Manitoba Trucking Association. And Mr. Steve Ondeco, President of On Freight Logistics and Chair of the Ontario Trucking Association. Minister Garneau, on behalf of all of our members, both small and large fleets alike, congratulations on making today's announcement. You've begun a process that will make our industry safer and, by extension, all provincial highways safer. By supporting the adoption of proven technology that will help address and reduce fatigue in truck drivers and help reduce one of the main factors leading to distracted driving. This is a good day for road safety. But this is just the beginning of the process. It's time for CTA and the provinces to roll up our sleeves and help you, Minister, to achieve our shared vision of improved road safety. That includes getting the ELD rule enforced as soon as possible. This announcement is a significant milestone, and the time to debate the safety benefits of ELDs is over. As a third-generation owner of J.D. Smith & Sons, which has been in operation since 1919, I'm extremely proud of our company's commitment to safety throughout its history. It's our responsibility as a company and as an industry, and it's good business. As a domestic carrier, we are on the front end of adopting ELD technology. In speaking with companies like WestCan and Arnold Brothers, who have made the transition already, I'm excited about the proven safety and operational benefits it will bring to my company and its employees. This regulation can only make us safer. Minister, ELDs will play a significant role in helping the safety on our roads and will help us continue our quest to make our industry continually safer. The end result is a Canadian economy that is moving as efficiently and safely as possible. Thank you again, Minister Garneau, and we look forward to working closely with your office over the coming months. Thank you.
Please join me in welcoming Mark Millian, the President of the Private Motor Truck Council of Canada, who will deliver some remarks. Thank you.
Good morning. On behalf of the membership of the Private Motor Truck Council of Canada, I want to thank Transport Canada and the Honourable Federal Minister of Transportation, Mark Garneau, for inviting me to speak here today. First off, let me congratulate you and your team for announcing the posting of the proposed electronic logging device mandate in Canada Gazette Part 1 today. This is an important step in having this legislation enacted into law. The PMTC has been involved in the consultations with Transport Canada, along with many other industry partners that we have here today, from the very beginning, dating back to 2010. At this point, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Brian Orbine. For those of you who don't know, Brian was the former Chief of Motor Carriers with Transport Canada and was instrumental in getting this mandate in front of the industry in the early years. And he had the consultation well on its path before health issues took its toll. Brian passed away in October of this year at the age of 67 after a long battle with cancer. Brian, thank you for all you did in forwarding this regulation, and may you rest in peace. Andrew Speruri, Senior Policy Advisor, Motor Carrier Division with Transport Canada, has been our main go-to in recent years and has been great to work with through the consultation process. Our membership believes the ELD mandate is an important one, and one whose time has more than come. Our current system of tracking hours by means of pen and paper is an outdated one, and one that has too many opportunities for unscrupulous operators to pressure their drivers to fudge their records. While the majority of carriers in our industry are safe operators and have policies and procedures in place to ensure compliance with hours of service regulations, excuse me, there are always outliers in every industry. Some operators will lowball freight rates and do so in the backs of their drivers fudging their books to make the run possible. We all pay a price for this. Safe carriers who operate legally end up competing against rates that can't be met in a proper operation. The public pays a price as a result of sharing the roads with some of these operators who may be forcing tired and unsafe drivers out onto our roads. While the ELD mandate can't guarantee 100% compliance, it will eliminate the majority of the uncompliant carriers. Carriers who are not following the rules will be forced to either change their operational practices or exit the industry. It will help to level the playing field for compliant carriers and allow them to compete with rates that are achievable in the legal environment they operate in. It will help enforcement officers more easily verify compliance and remove those operators from the road who are not operating legally. On a personal front, I have experience with ELDs, as back in 2013 I was the Fleet Safety and Compliance Manager of an Ontario fleet. Helped transition our fleet into electronic logs in that time. This was done well before any mandate. This was done as we believed it was the right thing to do for the future of our industry. With the right implementation and training strategy, drivers and operational staff will be able to transition quickly. Within 6 months, well over 90% of the drivers in our fleet were happy with the transition and would never go back to paper logs. Our own compliance level as a carrier improved. It was easier as a company to track our drivers' hours and ensure they were compliant, and it was easier for the driver to track their hours. We were not alone. Many fleets have implemented ELDs before any mandate was on the immediate horizon. As many of you will be aware, today is also the day that ELDs became mandatory for carriers operating in the United States, and compliance has come into place today south of the border. Today's announcement is a great step forward for our industry, will help bring us in line with our partners to the south. However, the work is not over. After comments have been received and adjustments are made and the Gazette 2 posting occurs, we will need to begin to ensure the federal mandate is adopted by all provinces and territories to ensure we have a uniform requirement across this land for all carriers, not just federally regulated ones. However, for today, the news is good, and this is an important first step. Once again, congratulations to Transport Canada and Minister Garneau for announcing the proposal today, and we continue to look forward to working with you and industry stakeholders as we move forward. Thank you.
So thank you everyone for attending today's news announcement. Minister Garneau will now board this truck on your left to view the ELD technology with the guidance of Road Night. Road Knights are a group of Ontario professional truck drivers who serve as ambassadors throughout the trucking community who are dedicated to safety and professionalism in the industry. You're invited to take photos during this time. After the demonstration, both ministers will be happy to take questions from the media. Thank you so much.